The old gospel was helpful too, more so indeed than is the new, but, so to speak, incidentally, for its first concern was always to give glory to God. It was always and essentially a proclamation of divine sovereignty in mercy and judgment, a summons to bow down and worship the mighty Lord on whom man depends for all good, both in nature and in grace. Its center of reference was unambiguously God. But in the new gospel, the center of reference is man. This is just to say that the old gospel was religious in a way that the new gospel is not. Whereas the chief aim of the old was to teach people to worship God, the concern of the new seems limited to making them feel better. The subject of the old gospel was God and his ways with men. The subject of the new is man and the help God gives him. And there's a world of difference. The whole perspective and emphasis of gospel preaching has changed. From this change of interest has sprung a change of content, for the new gospel has in effect reformulated the biblical message in the supposed interests of helpfulness. Accordingly, the themes of man's natural inability to believe, of God's free election being the ultimate cause of salvation, and of Christ dying specifically for his sheep are not preached. These doctrines, it would be said, are not helpful. They would drive sinners to despair by suggesting to them that it's not in their own power to be saved through Christ. The possibility that such despair would be salutary is not considered. It's taken for granted that it cannot be because it's so shattering to our self-esteem. And the result of these omissions is that part of the biblical gospel is now preached as if it were the whole of that gospel, and a half-truth, masquerading as the whole truth, becomes a complete untruth. Right? Right. Thus we appeal to people as if they all had the ability to receive Christ at any time. We speak of Christ's redeeming work as if he'd done no more by dying than make it possible for us to save ourselves by believing. We speak of God's love as if it were no more than a general willingness to receive any who will turn and trust. And we depict the Father and the Son not as sovereignly active in drawing sinners to themselves, but as waiting in quiet impotence at the door of our hearts, as we say, for us to let them in. It's undeniable that this is how we preach. Perhaps this is what we really believe. But it needs to be said with emphasis that this set of twisted half-truths is something other than the biblical gospel. The Bible is against us when we preach in this way, and the fact that such preaching has become almost standard practice among us only shows how urgent it is that we should review this matter. To recover the old, authentic biblical gospel and to bring our preaching and practice back into line with it is perhaps our most pressing present need.
Thank you very much. Jim, you wrote those lines 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still affirm all of that?
Yes.
No hesitation, no asterisks, no qualifications?
No, I think it's still true. And that's why I said yes. Some things change. This hasn't changed yet. That's my observation. So